problem is basically a government problem. It's not solved by an IT.
Okay, thank you.
One more question. So I think from multiple studies, I think people understand that having these kind of patient portals are important. They can support patients. But listening to your presentation and also your answer to Dr. Schwebach's question, how is the scene of EHR? How is that developed in Nigeria? Because I imagine if there isn't digitization efforts of the healthcare process, it may be difficult to provide these kind of portals that are tethered to HR. Because if you don't have an HR, how can you get these recent vitals and scheduled appointments there for the patient to see?
Reliability on the internet.
Right. Yeah. If you don't. Yeah. So.
If you don't have an EHR, is that what you mean?
Or how is the EHR or how is the health system digitized, or how well developed it is right now?
One of the research literature that I found, one of the research literature stated they determine health workers, because they already have a determined health worker ability, like a perspective about EHR in an hospital in Lokoja, Kogi State in Nigeria. And those people, when they talked about it, they said the conclusion of the literature says that they like it. EHR system works for them and it makes their work easier. So with that in place, in some hospitals in Lokoja, for example, the system is not going to start with people that do not have the EHR system. It's going to actually start with people that as EHR system exists. Some actually have it exists, they use it, and some do not have it.
Any other questions from anyone? We are done with time, so if anyone has any questions for Toyin, please send it out to her according to chat in the Canvas message and in the Zoom chat, and then she can answer. Thank you so much, Toyin. The next person is Jahanavi.
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, please feel free and start your presentation.
Hello everyone. Could you able to see my screen? Hello everyone. Good evening. This is Jahnavi Pinnamraju. I am a graduate student from the Department of Biohealth Informatics. My capstone project title is Evaluating Libre Health Cost of Care Application to Provide Patient-Friendly Costs of Care Among the Uninsured and Underinsured Population. I did this project under the guidance of Dr. Saptarshi Purkayastha, Dr. Joseph Jones, and Dr. Jyoti Gichoya. Coming to the introduction, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services has mandated that all hospitals need to publish the charge description masters from January 1st, 2021. Because the United States healthcare expenditure has raised from 4.6% to $3.8 trillion in 2019. CMS has instructed that hospitals need to publish this in the machine readable format, but all the patients can't easily access the machine readable format of the charge description master. So in order to improve the accessibility, we have developed the Libre Health Cost of Care application, which will disclose the hospital charges before receiving the services from the hospitals. And then we have evaluated the usability, usefulness of this app with main concentration on the safety net patients, including the uninsured and underinsured population. Coming to the objectives, the main objective of this study is to assess the usability, efficiency, and effectiveness of the app. And also the other objectives were to understand how the patients were using the app, whether they can successfully complete the tasks on their own, and to understand about the level of satisfaction of the users, and to identify the time taken by the each participant while using the app. Coming to the methods, the study was performed at the Department of Radiology at the Eskenazi Health. We used a user study design that involved 28 participants who were considered through convenient sampling. The main participants were the uninsured and underinsured. We have included both the qualitative and the quantitative research method that includes a Qualtrics survey. We have included the qualitative research methods such as observations, interviews, field notes, and the interviews also. And coming to the data analysis part, after completing the data collection, we have downloaded the survey data as a CSV file, and then we have looked into the questions. The first three questions were related to the age, gender, and insurance, and the fourth to 20th questions were related to the usability and usefulness of the app. And by considering the unified theory of acceptance and the use of technology model, we have considered the 5 constructs that includes the effort expectancy, performance expectancy, behavioral intention, users behavior, and facilitating conditions. And we have mapped the questions from the 4th to 20th that are relevant to the each construct. And then we have looked into the indicator correlations. Coming to the indicator correlations, mainly the effort usage behavior and effort expectancy are highly correlated, followed by the facilitating conditions and performance expectancy, followed by the effort expectancy and behavioral intention. And then we did PLS path modeling in Smart PLS version 3.3.3. And then here from this model, we can observe that there is a strong relationship between the effort expectancy and behavioral intention with 0.709 as weight. And we can observe that there is a moderate relationship between the behavioral intention and usage behavior with 0.507 as weight, and also between the performance expectancy and usage behavior there is a 0.451 as weight, which is a moderate relationship, and there is a weak relationship between the facilitating conditions and usage behavior with 0.140 as weight. Usage behavior and behavioral intention of the users were highly driven by the effort expectancy. And this is the Cronbach-Solfa report. Cronbach-Solfa report gives us the measure of internal consistency of the constructs. Here we can observe that the t-statistic values for all the constructs were 2 times greater than the standard deviation, except for the facilitating conditions, which shows that there is a good internal consistency between the constructs. And this is about the latent variable correlations. For all the latent variables, so most of the correlations were good, which shows that this model is a strong fit. And from these reports, we can able to identify the variance. Also from this Cronbach-Solfa report and adjusted row scores, we can observe that there is a weak relationship between the facilitating conditions and usage behavior. To conclude, overall, the participants have intent to use the cost of care app, and this effort expectancy has an impact on behavioral intention. Performance expectancy impacts the usage behavior. and users' behavior is not impacted by the facilitating conditions. To conclude, this study helped us to understand about the users' behavior while using the app and their needs and expectations. And also, the study helped us to make the necessary changes based on these results. Coming to the limitations, there were a few limitations with this study. There were less number of participants. Also, we have conducted this study only at the radiology department at the Eskenazi Health. And also, we have discarded the data of 6 participants due to technical issues. And there were more number of female participants when compared to males. Thank you.
Thank you, Janvi, for the presentation. Any questions from anyone in the class or online?
So how would you apply, or how would you use these findings to improve your app? I am looking at the effort expectancy with the impact on behavioral intentions. Is there some way to use that to be able to improve the app and increase the usage of it?
Yes, Professor. While conducting this study, we have identified some issues with the app, and then we have created those issues in GitLab and currently working on improving the app.
Okay, thank you.
So my question is related to that. Before you use the app, do you need test within other population because it's a very homogeneous group of patients? Yeah, mostly women, and it was only radiology. With other departments, geriatric departments, maternity.
Yes, Professor. As per the IRB, we just concentrated on the radiology department. This study can also be performed at other departments in order to get the consistent results.
Thank you.
Janvi, I had a question. Could you explain a little what one means by facilitating conditions and what one means by like effort expectancy? Could you give some examples of what this?
Like effort expectancy is about how easy to use the app for the users, whether they can easily navigate between the screens, whether they can easily download the charge description masters without the instructions from us. And the facilitating conditions is about the information that's required to be included in the app, and also the information that is present in the charge description masters. Based on that, so those questions were mapped to the facilitating conditions, Professor.
That the information, the way it is written in than how easily they are accessible to the patient, right? Is that how it
Yes, Professor.
So the health literacy doesn't impact.
doesn't make a big difference? Is, I think, expected. But again, one of the comments that we received, paper that just got accepted on this work, was that we haven't looked at geriatric patients or old patients, and they might actually not be using smartphones at all. So, yeah. Any? Okay, if not, thank you so much, Janvi. And
Thank you, everyone.
probably need to pull her back up.
My name is Shruti Apte, and my practicum project that I did in Franciscan. The project workflow, tasks, and deliverables. So I will give some information about the organization. So Franciscan Alliance Information Services clinical analytics team of data. So as we all know,
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
would you like me to start? Or is
I
it
think
fine?
you can keep going.
So I was saying that we all know there are various tools that are being used for business intelligence and data analytics purpose. So Franciscan Alliance has been using Cognos to generate their reports for various departments. And about a year ago, they decided to retire the IBM Cognos and switch to Power BI. I think the main reason would be that Power BI is a more new and dynamic tool that deliver attractive visualization. So that's why we were. It was a migration process, and the whole report would be replaced from IBM Cognos to Power BI.
I think I need to click on the screen. Yeah.
So I would just talk about the business intelligence tools that were the main thing in the project. So IBM Cognos is a web-based reporting tool, and it used to create multiple reports from various databases. The only thing that now IBM Cognos is not being used frequently is its interface, which is really outdated as compared to the new visualization tools that we are aware of, like Tableau and Power BI, which are more attractive and user-friendly. Power BI, on the other hand, is also a business analytics service. It is very easy to use, and the user interface is interactive. So yeah, so that's why the whole thing, and we were shifting from IBM Cognos to Power BI. I will just walk you guys through a project workflow. It's not the whole project. The first process was the data migration, and the second one was report generation lifecycle. So in the data migration, I used to pick the query dumps from IBM Cognos as a form of SQL code. I used to reconstruct them, the query in Data Studio, which is a database client, and then execute that restructured query in Power BI, which was connected to a common database. So this was the whole data migration process. Now coming to the next report generation lifecycle, which was divided into 3 stages. First, the report generation, Once I used to get the data in Power BI, I used to check the uniformity, the data type, the schema, the color scheme, and the FAIS template that we are going to use to make all the reports uniform. After creating the reports in Power BI, I used to do a sanity test. I myself used to test and validate the report, used to check whether the values are similar to those of the reports in IBM Cognos. After the sanity test, used to go for validation. Me and my team members used to validate the report. After report validation, we used to present the newly created reports to the users. If the user accepts or approves the report, then it would go to publishing process. And if not, then again, I used to fix those issues or any suggestions that I have given by the users, fix those issues, and again the sanity test, report validation, and then presentation in front of the users, and how this cycle used to run. Once the report is being approved, we used to publish it in Power BI, and the same report from the IBM Cognos we used to return. So my tasks and deliverables was I was assigned to create all the finance reports in Power BI. So there were a total of 9 reports that I created and delivered and presented to the users. I was also assigned to validate finance, surgery, and quality improvement reports. I presented all my reports and there how to use it, how it would work in Power BI to the users. I published all the approved reports in Power BI and retired the same from the IBM Cognos. So what I learned to write reusable and scalable code. You learn industry best practices. I've had experience with handling data, but this time the data was very large scale and very sensitive as it contained PHR, personal health data, and all the company's revenue, cost, expenses, that kind of data I got to handle. So it was really overwhelming, but I got to learn so much from that. I also learned about best visualization practices. I had some knowledge in Tableau, and I took a class of biomedical analytics where we use a DHIS2 tool, which is also a visualization tool. But Power BI was completely new for me. So that's the tool that I learned the most and I can use in my future. I also learned about DAX in Power BI, which is data analytics expression, which is a set of formulas, matrix, and measures that can be used for advanced analytic purposes. I improved my communication skills. There's still room for improvement, but I believe I did improve in that. Since my internship was almost a full-time job, so 8 to 5 job and with studies. So because of this practicum, I learned to organize and manage my time along with this study. So these are my key learnings. And I thank you, Dr. Gary, to allow me to continue my internship and connect it with the practicum. Thank you.
Thank you, Shruti. Any questions from people in the room or students online?
How long does it take you to do the migration on one system? How long ago?
So if I talk about one report, it would measure the table columns are less complicated, then it would even take less. For each report, I spend a week.
So how, consistent Elliot, how much time did they plan to do the total migration?
So as I said, there are whole number of it's been started in last year and it will still be continued in the think around 2 to 2.
So based on the reaction of the people at Franciscan Alliance, how much better is using Power BI than the IBM product?
So when you used to present it to different departments, so in IBM Cognos, the user interface is not that friendly. When if we want to see report healthcare facility, then the whole page. So that I just have to select the drop-down menus and just change in a step. So users like Power BI a lot. It's working fine and it will be more acceptable.
Thank you.
Coursework that you've also taken. What do you think in our program contributed to you successful in this practicum, and what do you think would be beneficial if you learned more in the program that would help in your English?
So one thing that was the different types of visualizations. Pivot table, line charts. So when I was assigned the reports, it had so that was one thing that helped. Download or get the data from internet. That was included.
So more of a data management sort of activity for a course. Any other questions from anyone?
Thank you very much.
The sound is gone. People online, can you hear me now?
Yes, Professor.
Okay. Did you hear the last answer from Shruti?
No, not at all.
Shruti, could you please repeat that answer? The question, did you all hear the question?
Yes.
Okay, so to answer the question, I said that what helped me through, from the biomedical analytics class was the knowledge of different visualization techniques that we use in the project, like bar chart, line chart, pivot table, time series model, and everything. So when I was assigned the reports and I had to replicate those in another tool, it wasn't that overwhelming because I already learned that because of my class. The one thing that I suggested or I wished that was included in the coursework was data management, so that we would be already prepared how to use data, how to migrate it, and write a query that is acceptable in various tools.
Thank you. Anything else from anyone? Any questions from people online? Okay, if not, thank you so much, Shruti.
Thank you.
I don't recall who's next, but
Professor, can you hear me?
yeah, Sahir Mai.
Yes. Can I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. My name is.
If you put it in slideshow mode, it will be beneficial.
Okay. Just a second, please. Yeah. Now, is it in slideshow, Professor? Now, can you guys see me?
Yes, yes, this is good. Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sahir Mai. I'm in my final semester of health informatics. Now I'm going to share my project experience with you guys. I completed my practicum at Regenstrief Institute. I worked as an interventional analyst for data use community project. Regenstrief is a non-profit research institute working to connect and innovate technology for enhancing healthcare. It's mainly focused on enhancing care quality and improving efficient healthcare delivery, and thus promoting the patient safety. It works towards empowering people to prevent diseases and to promote treatment continuity. So my project, Data Use Community, is an open community project involving organizations and individuals who are passionate about enhancing healthcare and healthcare data sharing. So the main objective of my project is to decrease missed appointments in HIV patients and to promote antiretroviral therapy continuity in HIV patients. So the project's clear milestone is to combine the best practices from different countries and to generate an applicable context for each specific approaches adopted by different countries. So the short-term goal of this project is to build a repository for all the best practices from different countries and to understand the current challenges faced by different countries during the implementing these interventions. So by doing so, the project is trying to provide an opportunity for practitioners to share their knowledge and to learn from each other's experiences. So So my role in achieving these goals are as follows. So we had bi-weekly meetings with different country representatives explaining about the interventions they adopted in order to enhance treatment continuity. So after the meetings are conducted, I collected and analyzed the information on different interventions which are adopted by different countries. So I used meeting recordings and the presentations presented by different country representatives to analyze and collect the data. I created technical intervention models for interventions from January 2021 to September 2021. So these technical intervention models are nothing but canvas models that provide an overview of interventions presented during our DUC community meetings in a standardized and visual manner. So these technical intervention models are based on business model canvases. And here, just a second. So yeah, so here is an example of one of a technical intervention model which was created by me. So it's about an intervention adopted by a facility in Haiti. It's called InfoPlus adherence. So they used predictive analysis to identify the lost to follow-up patients and to record patients who are at high risk of treatment failure. So for analysis, they used post ad hoc analysis methods. We didn't go in depth about the statistical methods used here. So we used the facility used predictive analysis to improve information clinical management. And the next slide here provides us the details about the data elements. Provides us the elements that are required to carry out the analysis, and the evidence section talks about the effectiveness of the intervention, and the technology and requirements interoperability section here talks about the necessary technical technical requirements in order in order to perform the intervention, and the implementation considerations and governance considerations talk about the necessary requirements required before implementing the intervention. And once the technical intervention models are prepared for all the interventions from January to September, we try to create a repository where we can share all these best practices with the community. So we have chosen a Gitbook platform. Me along with my mentor worked on this task by we added all our technical intervention models to Gitbook platform so that it would be easy for public to access. And here is a picture of our Gitbook page. It is available for public, but it's still under it's just a draft copy. There's still a lot more that need to be added to this page. We need to add some graphics, graphs, and links. So it's still under construction. So the outcomes of the project, the countries implementing these interventions were able to decrease missed appointments in HIV patients and were able to promote antiretroviral therapy continuity. And the technical intervention models created during this project have provided access to best practices at clinical and individual levels. And by creating a common repository for different interventions, we have ensured the project we have ensured field experience sharing with other developing countries so that they can adapt these interventions to promote treatment continuity in their countries. And we have through this project we are able to improve interagency coordination, and also we are able to integrate the group efforts of different countries to support program goals. And the skills learned, this practicum has provided me an opportunity to experience real world problems and how they can be solved using health information technology. And it also helped me to understand how missed appointments are tracked at different stages of healthcare delivery, and the challenges faced by facilities during the implementing a new health information technology. I have took a clinical information systems course in my second semester. So this practicum has given me an opportunity to apply the knowledge of the clinical information systems to to real world problems. And this practicum has made me to learn about the organizational issues associated with system design and system evaluation and regulatory policies needed by an organization. Overall, the practicum has improved my critical thinking skills, interpersonal skills, and behavioral skills. Thank you for providing me an opportunity to share my experience with everyone.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Sahir Mai?
Did any, in creating this repository, did any common theme emerge?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
So when you create this repository, did any common theme emerge from the different interventions?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
So the themes that came out of the analysis that you did that cut across countries.
It's not clear, sorry. Can you like type?
Are you able to hear me?
No, Professor, there's still some disturbance.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, were there any common themes that came out when analyzing the information across different countries?
So the most common themes were like people forgot about their appointments was one, and the second thing was they were neglecting about their treatment, and also the financial status of the patient also played a main role in missing the appointments.
Okay. Any other questions?
So if you had another couple of months that you could continue your practicum, what would be the next thing you wish you could have done if you had just a smidge more time?
So actually the midterm and the long-term goals of the project is to develop new tools and to create problem solving technologies. So if I had more time, maybe I would have learned more about any new tools that are used for reducing the missed appointments. Thank you.
So I had a question about, like, could you describe the method a little more? Like what kind of data you looked at to draw the themes?
So actually, I used information. I was only given access to the information from recordings, meeting recordings, and also the presentations. In the presentations, they presented about from the beginning of the problem, like what was the main cause of the problem, and they explained about the tools or the interventions they used in order to reduce the missed appointments. So I used the information from patient meeting recordings and also the presentations to draw these models.
So this was only secondary data and you did not collect your own data?
No, it's just a secondary data. We are just collecting the data from the meeting recordings and presentations. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, anyone? Okay, if not, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who do we have next?
That's me, Professor. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Your presentation.
Okay, let's start it. Just a second. I hope it's all right now.
Sort of. It still is not full screen. It's
Okay.
like a, yeah, the resolution doesn't seem to be using the entire screen.
Okay. I'm sorry, I can't find.
I think if you change your share screen to use the entire screen, it might work. Because you're sharing only the PowerPoint screen, it's only showing at that resolution. Or take your PowerPoint to full screen, then it'll work, I think.
Give me a minute.
Do you want me to share the thing you've uploaded?
No, is it all right now?
Yes, this is better. Thank you. Please continue.
Okay. Yeah, I hope you can see me now.
Yes, we
Sorry
can.
for taking much time. Good evening, everyone. I'm Snigdha Cordella. I'll walk you through my work about the development of a wound care surveillance system for improved wound outcomes in Indiana under the guidance of Dr. Saptashi Pakayastha. Yeah. I worked as an intern, a data analyst intern at ICRME, which is Indiana Center for Regenerative Medicine and Engineering. It is a multidisciplinary research center dedicated to the development of novel technologies in regenerative medicine and provides cell-based therapies, tissue engineering, wound, burn, and inflammation therapies. More than 30 scientists and staff members work at ICRME to minimize the incidence of amputations in Indiana while also delivering highly innovative treatment. My responsibilities in this role were managing the resources such as data, designing the visualizations and creating dashboards, retrieving feedback from the users, that is the surgeons, data comparison and from different sources and analyzing it, as well as documentation of the project progress. I'll go in details in the next slide. Yeah, so our main objectives of this work were improving the wound outcomes by noting the susceptible patients and their socioeconomic conditions. The other thing we are interested in is making DHIS2 platform as a data warehouse accessible to the researchers to perform exploratory data analysis and ensure innovation at their fingertips. To achieve these, we followed the following steps. We first ran DHIS2 on a server woundinfo.us. We deployed it, found and imported geographic information system coordinates into the organization units that we created in woundinfo.us up to 4 different levels, starting from state until the zip code tabulation area level. We then compiled the data from different programs with the necessary attributes such as demographics, medical history, wound data, at different study visits, lab data, geographical data, and imported all of that into the virtual machine. To compare the data, we need a baseline, and we reached out to Indiana Police Center for the baseline data at zip code level and county level. For some of the attributes, we got the zip code level data, but for some, we got the county level data. We then created data sets, thereby importing the data into the system. Especially, we concentrated on socioeconomic information from the police center, as well as a few demographic and basic diagnostic data. For retrospective validation of the attributes from the users, that is the executive director and assistant professor of surgery, we presented the work and got feedback from them every month and bi-weekly with the assistant professor. So as they will be the final users of the system, and we implemented the necessary changes that are suggested by them to make it user-friendly and meaningful. We then created interactive dashboards consisting of maps, charts, and event reports, pivot tables, to visualize the patient data using indicators on real-time basis. We use different layers in the maps to compare various attributes. And we also prepared a user manual step-by-step manual to create any type of dashboards for the users. And okay, so what did we find from all the hard work that we did? So here are some of the visuals. of the prospective findings and possibilities. So this graph here shows the average wound area of the Caucasians versus African American population. See, the green line as well as the red line are the wound area of African American population at 2 different visits, as well as the ash one. Okay, so this is 1, 2, and 3 different visits. And this is the area of the wound area of the patient. So it is clearly seen that out of the 2 visits, or 2 out of the 3 visits, the African American population has more wound area, average wound area. As well as the social determinants of health. When we have seen the data that we received from Indianapolis Center, we saw that certain attributes like poverty, unemployment, as well as the education status, basic degree, and all are mostly the percentage of the populations having these parameters are mostly situated in these areas, and the patients registered into the various projects or various programs in ICRME are in these areas. So it's mostly correlated. Like there are many patients registered from ICRME who has who also have to been from different socioeconomic background, basically being a poverty, unemployment status, and all. So these are certain possibilities. So here is one map that's showing the distance covered by ICRME in treating the patients. These are the locations of several patients coming for the treatment. So it's around 500 miles in this case. And we can also create reports like this to see with the attributes that are present in the system. Here it is showing the wound healing status of the different genders, male versus female, at a particular visit. So this can be seen across all the visits at around different time periods, as in when the practitioner needs it, and different attributes that they want to choose from. So these are some of the visuals that we have. Apart from many, I prepared a poster out of my interest with all the work that we have done. Apart from that, I also observed the wound healing time of different patients, average wound healing time of different patients. So which is for the non-healing wounds, it is 15, 14, and 9 weeks respectively. And for this is for the years 2019, 20, and 21 for the healing and non-healing wounds. So what is the necessity of knowing all this? So there will be a clear aspect of understanding this importance of wound healing time, and if there is a pattern among the prospective patients, so it can be addressed. So we have come to a conclusion. This is a continuous project, but some of the conclusions that we have drawn from this work are that understanding and monitoring the patient demographics paves a way to the injury surveillance. Comparing the geographical parameters of the patients and addressing special needs of the prevalent population leads to achieving effective treatment outcomes. And DHIS2 is a decent platform to generate these reports and analyze the patient data at provider level when a sophisticated system isn't available. So such a surveillance system in different facilities lead to robust treatment of injuries. So considering the limited data that we have, so we had around the patient data of around 280 patients. This can be, we recently have received data from bulk data from wound expert as well. So this work can also be reciprocated in a large number of like patients to give more robust results. Through the practicum experience, I got an opportunity to enhance my behavioral skills, especially goal setting skills, initiative skills, and information skills like sense making skills and information gathering and analytical skills. My improvement areas I set during the start of the project were improving my interpersonal skills, like help skill to seek help, and as well as theory skill was one of my improvement areas where I had to make a better anticipation of the trends in the data using models and theorize the ideas by seeing them from different viewpoint. I grabbed a chance to empower my technical skills in the DHIS2 platform. I got chance to import bulk patient data into the DHIS2 system using Python. I interacted over Postman with the API, GIS maps, XML, JSON. There are several tools that I've worked on in this project. Team meetings every week within the team and with the surgeons, the task assignment in the Microsoft Teams and the work distribution among the team. I improved my interpersonal skills during the practicum experience. I am confident that this practicum experience opens new doors with several job opportunities in the clinical data analytics sector for me. It's an unforgettable learning experience where each task is a new milestone in my career. Okay. I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude to Professor Saptashi Purkayastha for providing me this excellent opportunity and leading us along the way. My teammates Shruti, Jahnavi, and Atika Rahman for working with me on various tasks, and Dr. Chandansen and Dr. Timson Lavaraj for all the support and relevant feedback, as well as Professor Gary for encouraging comments throughout the practicum assignments. I'm open to take any questions.
Thank you, Snigdha. Does anyone have any questions? We have about 4 more minutes. Yes.
Thank you so much for your experience with dashboard. In your opinion, what could have improved? If there is any other dashboard that you wish that you would have worked with?
Pinka, did you hear that question?
No.
Just a minute. Yeah.
Please switch to ear and switch to audience. Yeah, now can you hear me? Are you able to hear?
Yes, I can hear you, but
I can come in the front. Okay. Yeah, so I think yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. I was curious about your experience with the dashboard, or what kind of improvement you want to see for the dashboard, or what was the difficulties of using in working with the DHIS dashboard?
One of the difficulties with the dashboards, I mean, there are several learnings over the time, but yeah, while we have to import the data several times if we have missed a specific column for a specific patient. So we have to delete the patient and then re-import the data. So if we have the data of around 200 patients in the system and we have to include a column or two for those patients, and it will be a task to update that information in the system, as well as we can't bulk delete the entries in the system. Coming to the dashboards are pretty interesting, since I have not worked with other tools that help to create the dashboards. I find it very interesting. There are several aspects of, several features in creating the dashboards, which are helpful. One specific thing was, at first I was unable to figure out the getting the percentages of specific, the division of percentages of the patients earlier, but later on I figured it out. And one more thing is, in the pivot tables doesn't give the split of the information, while event reports will give the split of the information, where I have to use an indicator to see the, again, I have to create the indicator and then check the data for specific patients. For example, if it's gender, then I don't get the split of female and male in pivot tables, or in that matter, event visualizer. But they are more robust to check the data distribution on the maps. If I don't have the split, it doesn't make sense. But once I create the indicators, it makes sense. But rather than creating the indicators, I wish to see the data just as it is, even with the data visualizer or pivot tables app. So those were some of the improvement areas in dashboard creation in the HIS2.
Thank you, Snigdha, and thank you. Any other questions, anyone? Anyone online with any questions? If not, I think we are over time. And if you have any questions, please write them on chat. Let's move on to the next student, or is that a group?
Next, Abdul.
Hey, Professor. This is me, Abdul. So
yeah, please feel free to share your screen and begin.
Yes, sir. Is my screen visible?
Yes, we can see your screen and hear you fine. We don't see you though.
Oh, one moment.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. This is adjusting my screen. So, hello everyone. I'm Abdul Muhammad, and I'm here to share my practicum experience with the OpenHI Academy at Regents Reef Institute. And I've been working to develop a web-based academic course on community service functions. So in the time allotted to me, I would like to talk about my organization, that is OpenHI Academy at Regents Reef. I would like to talk about the project and the methods that we use to accomplish our goals. And in the end, I will also talk about the skills that I have learned throughout my practicum. So talking about the Regents Reef Institute, the Regents Reef Institute, it is a health-based institute that performs medical research and also develops and creates health information systems and programs for other relevant organizations like foreign national health ministries, underdeveloped countries, and other research institutes and communities. So this Regents Reef Institute also provides operational support to OpenHI Academy or OpenHI community, and also cultivates leadership and gives strategic input. So the Open HIE at Regents Reef helps in the creation, management, and consultation for health information technology worldwide. Its primary purpose is to use health informatics to solve healthcare challenges and also meet data needs across regions so that everyone has access to health information. So this platform, the OpenHI Academy, also offers introductory courses and free participation for everyone to enable more countries and technologists to fully understand and employ architected techniques like OpenHI by removing the obstacle to participation. So this platform, the OpenHI Academy, now offers an introductory course on terminology, standards and terminology, which is also the course I had an opportunity to work on as my practicum project. So my practicum was my work included to develop and design a web-based academic course on terminology services. So the idea of this project was to design a course that will help the participants to establish the foundation of a healthcare data journey by equipping them with the information and abilities that they might need to understand healthcare standards and terminologies. So this course will cover the introductory concepts of ICD-9, ICD-10, LOINC, SNOMED, and other clinical data standards, as well as various clinical data representations used in healthcare systems. So as a graduate research intern, my responsibility was to collect course material provided by my mentors and outline key materials to present in the course, get feedback and input from the subject matter experts, and to draft visuals and include multimedia and create quizzes and also collect references to provide in the training material, etc. So the tools that I used throughout my practicum was LearnDash and WellSaid. So I will briefly talk about LearnDash, which I used to design the course content. So the LearnDash is a WordPress learning management system. That's LearnDash LMS. It's mostly used by businesses and schools and colleges and other training groups throughout the world to create and also sell courses. So the reason why I included this screenshot, it's from user in admin interface, is to explains the course hierarchy. So towards the left, if you see, so the highest level is the course. Lessons are located just beneath it. Courses are allocated to lessons and topics. And under lessons, we have topics. And just like how lessons are allocated to courses, topics are allocated to lessons. And last but not the least, the quizzes. So all of these levels might have quizzes in them. The next tool that I used was WellSaid Studio. So this platform provides a voice recognition services, including synthetic audios or voice. And it also enables the user to turn their text into a speech. So user may pick various avatars available here and can generate voiceover directly from the script. So we use this tool to create voice narrations for the course content that we had. It was pretty simple to use. All we had to do was just type in our script or just paste it here, and it would automatically generate audio files for you. You could just simply download it and then use in the LearnDash tool to assist or use it as a supplementary material for the learners. So I would like to give a live demo of the course that I've created. I would just pause my screen share for a while and begin a new share. Can you all see my screen?
We still see the presentation, the live demo. Yes, now we see it.
Okay, so this is what the actual published course looks like. So when we first started out with this project, the project outline and format was very vague. We didn't know what to do, but my mentors and supervisors were insistent, and they were looking for new creative ideas and to be very considerate of all types of learners, like audio learners, auditory learners, and visual learners. So this is when I came across this WellSet tool. So I'll give a brief demonstration of how the tool works. So this is the script, and this is the audio file that I've generated using WellSet.
Data standards are the foundation of interoperability in healthcare, which refers to the capacity of health systems to share medical data independent of domain or software provider. It ensures that everyone uses the same language and handles sharing, storing, and analyzing data in the same way. With common standards, clinical and patient safety systems can share an integrated information infrastructure, allowing data to be gathered and utilized for many purposes and fulfilling the wide range of data collecting and reporting needs more efficiently. Please watch the video below for more information on semantic health standards.
So that was the demo of WellSet. So we also included hyperlinks. So in case if they want to read more about the concepts like interoperability or syntactic standards, we also included videos on these topics. So people who want to facilitate in-depth learning could watch videos, and the same video could be watched on YouTube as well, so that they can also watch the relevant videos on the topic. We also included a button to read more for in-depth learn of the same topic. And here you can see towards the left all the lessons, the hierarchy, the course, the lessons, and the topics that we have included in the entire course, and a quiz in the end. So I'll go back to my presentation. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Not yet. We are still seeing the course.
Okay, one moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I would like to talk about my project experience and the skills that I've learned with this practicum. So I had a wonderful experience working with OpenHI Academy. I have developed skills that I may use in my future endeavors. So throughout the practicum, reasonable goals were created every week, which improved my goal setting skills. So during the weekly meetings with the team, the progress of weekly tasks and assignments was regularly discussed. So also as a graduate student, I had to work on various other academic projects and weekly assignments alongside my practicum. So I did my best to meet deadlines and set milestones. This helped me with my time management skills. And working with the OpenHIE community as a whole helped me to enhance my technological skills. MS Office and PowerPoint has become like second nature to me. And it also introduced me to WellSet Lab Studio. And I also had to do a tutorial course on LearnDash, how to use it more effectively. So it really helped me improve my technological skills. Also, effective communication was one of the skills I always wanted to work on. And I'm glad to say that our weekly team huddles gave me an opportunity to work on it. It really helped me discuss and share my ideas with the team, and also aided me in overcoming my communication obstacles. Also helped me completing the project deliverables on time. Overall, the practicum experience helped me broaden my horizons outside of the OpenHIE Academy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abdul. I think, any questions, anyone? I had a question, Abdul. How do you evaluate the effectiveness of the content that you're creating? Do you have a process of actually asking learners to take the course? Or, I mean, the voice that was speaking seemed very excited for the kind of content that it was saying. Is there a way you can like balance this, mellow the speech down for certain kinds of content? And so things like that. Is there an evaluation process?
Yes, Professor. Thank you for your question. We do have a evaluation process. In fact, this course has now been published for evaluation. There is a global health informatics team in which the terminology service functions, all of this work. So they gave us a feedback, and they're also working on to give us a very effective feedback. And so far, they have told us that the content needs to be evenly distributed. And also they've commented on the voice thing, but unfortunately there is nothing that we can do to make it sound more mellow, because the version that we used was a trial version. It's a paid service, but it also offers 50 audio clips as a trial version. So we couldn't do much with the options that were available to us in trial version. But yes, definitely there is a team that would evaluate the content and also the interface of the course.
Thank you. Any other questions from anyone? Okay, if not, thank you so much. Let's move to the next speaker, which is Manogna.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Manogna. So I am here to share my work on Open Health Information Exchange Academy course. So these are the things that I would like to cover in the next couple of minutes. I will give a brief description about the organization that I worked with, then talk about the course that I created and how I was able to accomplish my goals, and a little bit about what I learned through this experience. Okay, so coming to organization description, Global Health Informatics is a program at Regenstrief Center for Biomedical Informatics. It is a small team comprises of 10 to 12 professionals whose mission is to achieve health equity for resource-constrained communities through health information technologies. And the Academy is an initiative taken by the Open HI community. So the Academy is nothing but an online e-learning tool that is developed to address the gaps around health information exchange and various components of open HI architecture. So my position as a student research intern was to create a self-directed course on one of the components, that is Health Facility Registry, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. So this is the Open HI architecture, and the circle component is the one that I worked on. So it is a registry service among the other four, as you can see. So what is Health Facility Registry? It is nothing but the tool for an authority to collect, store and distribute up-to-date and standardized facility data. And the resulting data set is called the master facility list. So these two terms are often used interchangeably, but it is important to know that there is a difference between the two. So in simpler words, health facility registry is nothing but the tool that manages and shares data related to facilities, both public and private. And the list that it collects is nothing but the master facility list. So how was I able to accomplish the task? The task was to create a self-directed course, as I already mentioned. So initially, in the beginning of the practicum, I was given material on health facility registry by the subject matter experts to build my foundation, following which we had weekly meetings with the supervisor, and I had bi-weekly meetings with the subject matter experts to shape the course. And just like Abdul already mentioned, we used the tool LearnDash to draft the content, and we used several multimedia like he just explained. And just in the beginning of this month, like December 3rd, we published the course to obtain feedback from the wider sub-community members. I will just quickly show the content that I created. So this is the Open HI Academy webpage. So there are several courses that are free. All you have to do is just create an account and enroll. So this is the facility management course. So as I just mentioned, we already published the course to obtain feedback. So just a bit about the course description and what to expect out of it. And so this is the hierarchy. There are lessons, and under each lesson, there are several topics that we can include. And I'll quickly just show. And it's there are several media, so we can go to YouTube. It directs you there, and use cases were an important part of this course. So if they want to read more about what has happened in Haiti, then you just got to click read more, and that will direct you to the page. So this is about the course that I created. I'll quickly stop share and go back to my presentation. So what I learned from this experience was that, so the course, to create a course, there's a lot of information that is already available. So it was important to find the right resources and make sense of the information that is already at hand. All of this keeping the target audience in mind. So I really had the opportunity to work on my information and analytical skills. In addition, since this is a collaborative approach that we used, and it involved a lot of interactions with not only my supervisor at Regents Reef, but also with my subject matter experts from a different institute, and the monthly meetings with the sub-community members who are from different countries like Kenya, Nigeria, Tanzania. So I was really thankful for this opportunity because it really helped me improve my interpersonal skills. And I was also, this was a new and different experience for me because I was always on the receiving end of the courses. So since I was the one creating and delivering the course, so this was a different experience for me. Thank you.
Any questions for Manogana?
So in working with the subject matter experts from different areas, different countries, what kind
Sorry, Professor, I cannot hear you. Can you please repeat it?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So in working with the subject matter,
I'm sorry, I lost you again.
how about now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. In working with these subject matter experts from the different places, the different countries, were there concerns about the facility list pretty common? Were there differences between them? Were they really sharing what was available under different government systems, under different countries, that sort of thing?
Okay, thank you for your question. So we always had monthly meetings wherein people from all over the globe attend. So we usually discuss the challenges regarding governance or regarding resources during that meeting. And since most of our target audience or the countries that OpenHI Academy is working on are the South African countries like Kenya, Nigeria, Tanzania. So there is a common trend. They weren't that different in terms of the challenges they were facing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other question? Okay, if not, we can move to the next.
Geeta?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Geeta. I'm a health informatics 4th semester student. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So I'm here to present my practicum project. My project title is Screening of Prediabetes Patients for Estimating the Influence of Demographic Factors on its Progression to Type 2 Diabetes. This is a database study. So the organization details, I work with IU Health, Indiana University Health. So Indiana University Health is a non-profit organization. It has largest and most comprehensive healthcare system in Indiana. So IU Health uses a Cerner EHR system, which has several data retrieved from the ambulatory radiology and labs and health and the hospital patient data. So this EHR system is it is a pioneer. This IU Health is a pioneer in healthcare quality, medical innovation, and patient satisfaction. So coming to the introduction, my topic is diabetes, and it is a common topic, but and many studies are being done on diabetes. But the thing I am interested to do was like, we are aware of the pre-diabetes condition, and we are unable to stop this condition from progressing to type 2 diabetes. So coming to the introduction, pre-diabetes is also called as intermediate hyperglycemia. So this is a condition which has slightly more lab values than the normal glucose levels in the body. So about 88 million of population in United States have this pre-diabetes condition, and every 1 in 3 of the population show progression to type 2 diabetes. So it is also estimated that it will increase to 1 in 5 individuals who will develop the type 2 diabetes condition. And several factors are influenced if a patient like progresses from pre-diabetes to type 2 diabetes condition, like the insurance costs, like the amount of hospitalizations, the comorbid conditions getting associated with it. So so many research studies were also done, many prospective studies were also done, and they estimated the demographic risk factors, and longitudinal studies were done, as this is a chronic condition. But there were few conflicting results while they were estimating this condition, like in the ethnic groups or the BMI categories, like that. So my study aim is to utilize the IU Health diabetic data or IU Health data and describe the demographic characteristics of patients diagnosed with pre-diabetes and who showed progression to type 2 diabetes. And I also like examine the risk factors, the time of progression of the patterns of progression in individuals. And I did a survey and to compare the survival times in different demographic groups and examine the hazard ratio. So the methods I used here is I selected the pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes patients based on their ICD-10 diagnostic codes. So I extracted this information, and they were about 80,491 patients, out of which only 6,557 showed progression with and remaining are non-progress patients. And this is maybe because the patient changes from one hospital to other, and there is like high level of discontinuity of care in diabetes patients. And so my inclusion criteria was like the patient has to be followed for 365 days, and there must be at least 30 days difference between the pre-diabetes condition and type 2 diabetes incidence. And the patient must be at least 60 days registered prior at IU Health before he is diagnosed with pre-diabetes condition, just to prevent those individuals who already has pre-diabetes and came into IU Health organization. So for my data analysis, I performed the initial data extraction and exploratory data analysis using SQL. And further, my statistical analysis and graphical plots were developed using R Studio. So I performed descriptive statistics to calculate the summary of variables. And I use an approach of doing survival analysis, which includes the Kaplan-Meier curve and Cox hazard ratio, which estimates the time to event of people showing progression to type 2 diabetes. So as the progression time is really important, that is needed to be studied. So the statistical analysis results showed that age group of 44 to 64 years showed more progression than 64 to 84 years, and female had high progression rate than the male population. Coming to the race, they were 80% of white population and 18%, only 18% were African Americans. And they were like in the IU Health database, there were many other populations, Asians, Alaskans, but they were in a minute sample showing progression. And in the BMI category, obese patients showed 52% progression and 15% were overweight. But there was a lot of missing data while calculating the BMI and extracting the height and weight information from the database. So there were many missing values for the BMI. And I performed the survival analysis, which includes a non-parametric a visualization called Kaplan-Meier curve. So this is the probability that estimates the surviving free of diabetes, and that can be visualized between progressed and not progressed patients. So the results showed that African Americans has high significance in obese and overweight population, and obese population like being more significant than the overweight population. But in white population, there was equal significance of getting type 2 diabetes in both the obese and overweight population. So, and the Asians also showed the similar trend, while they were minute samples of Alaskan and Hawaiian population too in the study. So I chose to calculate the risk hazard ratio and to measure how the variables are involved in the survival of getting type 2 diabetes. So this model will calculate the relative risk of one factor to a standard reference that we assign. So if we consider the BMI, there are like 4 categories which we classify, like underweight, normal weight, overweight, and obese. So when we consider the BMI overweight, it showed about 32% more risk of developing type 2 diabetes than normal individuals. Whereas BMI obese category showed about 131% risk person than the normal BMI category. And females had 12% less likely to develop this condition than males. And even the African American and white population, so they had a like exponential positive hazard ratio, and this interprets that these populations show high risk of this event to occur. And so so I so the conclusion of this results is, so we are able to early identify the prediabetes condition. We have many lab tests that we are interpreting, and the diagnosis is has improved in the identifying prediabetes patients. So study of their patterns of progression at the primary care or hospital level would prevent this condition from progressing. So from the study, the average time a patient that was followed was 2.5 years. So during this 2.5 years, we can develop many interventions to the prediabetes patients registered or continuing their care with the IU Health. And so the interval of time to prevent the progression to type 2 diabetes can be monitored, and several interventions can be made during this period. So the survival plots and hazard ratio are done to find the correlation of the BMI, race, and gender factors with relation to each with respect to each other. And however, like in my data set that I extracted, there were more non-progress patients than the progress patients. So if there were more progress patients than the normal non-progress patients, then there would be a possibility to develop a model in estimating the patterns of the progression. And so for this study, we can add the Charleston comorbidity conditions, and similarly the survival plots can be developed, like which comorbid conditions are finding their association with diabetes and type into conversion of type 2 diabetes. So the skills I developed, so this practicum opportunity at HI Health, I was given a free hand to explore the data and choose my topic of interest, and they expected to come up with a database study that that there is some gap in the literature. So I did some literature review and got some statistical analysis methods that can be done to identify the minute differences in demographic risk factors. So I developed a skill to handle huge patient data and exploratory data analysis and data cleaning and extraction and converting it from one form to other. So along with that, I got efficiency using analytical tools like SQL and R. And I also explored several statistical methods, and it was quite a challenge, but on practice, it made it easy. And the data manipulation, like how a good results can be obtained, that improved my technical skills as the project progressed. So I would like really thank the health informatics department for the support and guidance in taking effort to teach analytical skills and data management skills throughout the course. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepa, for the presentation. Any questions from anyone in the audience?
Yeah, what do you mean exactly with non-progression?
Non-progress patients, so we took so I selected a cohort of pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes patients, and the similar patient IDs who had the encounter date and the diagnostic date prior to the type 2 diabetes is they like the time to event is calculated. So a particular patient, his trend is studied, and if he reached the type 2 diabetes, they are, all those patients were considered as progress patients. And if they had like the patient patterns, they showed like three types: those patients who have been progressed to type 2 diabetes, and those patients who were in the pre-diabetic condition, and there were also patients who returned to normal glycemic index after a few events. So my study selection only included those patients who showed progression, like from pre-diabetes to type 2 diabetes.
Because you mentioned that the progression was 900 and that many days, and non-progression 800 days. So it can be more because you don't know when. So it was in one of your slides that you mentioned the difference between progression and non-progression. That's my question. My question came from that. I said non-progression.
How can you measure the days?
Yeah, because there is no measure.
I can hear a muffled voice, but can you please repeat it, Dr. Jones? Like the last part.
So in one of the close to the last slides, you mentioned the dates from pre-diabetes progression was 915 or 925, and then you said from progression, non-progression was 800. How can you measure that if there is no progression?
So I have a dichotomous variable which had a patient like they have the progress patients as they have both the progressed and non-progress patients. So while doing the analysis, the survive like the fit, so it will the time at risk is calculated. So it will take the progression time for the progressed patients, and it will take the follow-up time for the non-progress patients. So what is the follow-up time is, as I mentioned in my first slide, so the follow-up time is from the initial visit date to the IU Health Hospital to the last visit date. So this date is this period of time is calculated as a follow-up time. So this follow-up time will give the time for the non-progress patients, and the progress time, it is calculated from the pre-diabetes index date to the type 2 diabetes. I think I forgot to mention that point. So but the first incidence of a pre-diabetic patient is it is taken as pre-diabetes index date, and the type 2 diabetic encounter date is taken as a type 2 diabetes index date, and the difference between these two time intervals is calculated as the progression time. So this average is 2.5 years. And the follow-up time, that is the patient who have started his pre-diabetes condition but has been followed up to the last, this is the follow-up period, and that value, that follow-up time gives for it's the average for the non-progress patients.
So that's the amount of time that these patients were followed on average.
Yeah.
Is that not progression of disease, but the total amount of time they were followed?
Yeah. For the non-progress patients, it is the total amount of time they are with the IU Health in the IU Health data.
And were you looking at, when you say glycemic index, is that HbA1c you were looking at, or was it?
So it's the ICD-10 diagnostic codes that I use for the extraction of pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes cohort. So initially, when I started my study, I extracted information from HbA1c and 2-hour glucose test and like all the lab tests what we'll use for the pre-diabetes identification. But the thing when I did with the lab results, there were limited number of from that cohort, there were limited patients who showed progression. So again, I went to the diagnostic codes and like extracted the information. So the lab results and the the diagnostic data, it differed with the progression cases.
So does IU Health have a standardized metric for calling somebody type 2? So that all the patients would be the same who receive that ICD-10 code?
So they have grouped the ICD code based on, I selected only the cohort with type 2 diabetes with no complication. So that particular code retrieved those patients who are like having type 2 diabetes with no complications. And so they have grouped into like several ICD-10 codes related to type 2 diabetes, but the one I chose was with no complications.
I have one question, but I think we are over. My question on chat. And thank you so much for. And so we have the last bonus.
And Janice and Gopala recorded theirs because Janice was unable to get off work tonight.
Okay.
The recording should be loaded. Let's see.
It's there. Do you want?
I have a recorded version of it.
Yeah, how do I play it? Wait, is a slide showing it?
Can I send you a recording? Do you have any way of?
Yeah, if you put this on, you should have access to this. And
I'm sorry.
I can upload it on the OneDrive.
okay, so while that's happening, maybe I can ask to Geeta.
Yes, Professor.
And this might sound like a rude question, but this is like a scientifically. I'm using my scientific freedom to ask you this question. And this is not a project, but a practicum. So you did what your preceptor asked you to do. But right, question from the results is more so what, right? Don't we all know that BMI is the biggest cause of type 2 diabetes? I know most of your findings were related to that, but so what? Like, is this new, or what new knowledge have we gained from your work?
Yeah, so Professor, when I was like given a hand to go through the data and to the literature, so I found many prospective studies that have followed a diabetic patients through a long follow-up time, but they were like minimum database studies and retrospective studies, and even in those studies there were like gaps in finding the statistical like the demographic risk factors, and there were some uh, like the discrepancies in like finding what ethnic groups might be more affect to get the progression to type 2 diabetes. So with these factors, like they also had studied that okay, this condition like so this aspect of like the progression to type 2 diabetes has to be studied, and it was not studied in IU Health. So it might it had some studies on the insurance patient data. So type 2 diabetes type 2 diabetes has increased their insurance cost and the cost of living like that. But in IU Health, this study was not made and the survival analysis was not made. So my mentor suggested, okay, you can do a survival analysis using the IU Health data. This might be a new, and we could extract some results from this data. So while analyzing the statistical aspects, we thought of including new columns to the database, and uh, how various other columns can be added to the data, and how we can extract more information on like to estimate the progression time and all. So we had different discussions about the continuity of care also, as the hospital as the patient is being discontinued at one point, and we are having no information on that. So there were like many things that we went through, and the survival analysis was one thing that IU Health that they did not do with the IU Health data. So I went like into detail of I went into detail doing this analysis.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the box liberation is probably something new, and thank you so much for answering that.
Yeah, the survival analysis part could be more like it's a deep topic, and it could be more explanatory and from the model, but I think I have made it constrained. Yeah. So I chose the survival analysis as it's something that is not done with the IU Health data set. So yeah. Thank you, Professor.
So may I just say something about this? This is the first output from the new B691 course that is using a group project methodology. So we're testing this out for this semester to be able to use going forward. So we only had 2 students sign up for it. Normally groups are 3. But unfortunately, one of the group members was unable to attend because she works in healthcare and was unable to get the meeting off. So this is the recording they sent.
Hello, myself Gopalakrishna and my batchmate Janice are here to present regarding this our project of digitizing paper-based records to EHR in the Heart and Soul Free Clinic. Heart and Soul Free Clinic is a community health center which treats Spanish-speaking people majorly. Let me walk you through the background of the setting. The clinicians at Heart and Soul Clinic are mostly retired physicians who volunteer part-time. This facility is also facing issues with funding, which makes it difficult to hire new people or buy any particular equipment. Currently, it has 1,100 patient records where 400 of them are active patients. The director of the clinic has bad experience previously with EHR, and it is not positive towards she is not positive towards implementing an EHR in that clinic. On the top of that, since the clinic does not get any revenue for delivering care from insurance companies, there is technically no need for the clinic to adapt EHR, and they are less motivated to do so. With the information conveyed, I am heading ahead to the task we are assigned. We are expected to devise the plan to shift the system of patient health records from paper-based to electronic health records. For the convenience, we split it into 3 components, namely information science and technology component, social and behavioral science component, and health and clinical care component. Now, I would elaborate the problems identified in each of the component. In the IT component, we have a chief issue, which is digitization. We have 1,100 patients, of whom 700 would not return back, while 400 are active. On the top of that, we will need to enter new patients once they go live. Next issue is workflow. With the implementation of new system, the workflow will change from the regularly used pattern, and it can be new and difficult till the staff has been adapted to it. In the social and behavioral component, we feel the director's attitude towards the EHR would be a major hurdle for us. Coupled with the social interactions among the staff, we need to be extremely cautious, as any negative experience could completely elevate the attention and could lead to a backlash from the staff. We need to continuously train and support the staff during the process of going live, as the internal dynamics of the staff can be driven against the new system due to resistance to adapt. In the health and clinical care component, we have issues like identification and retrieval of paper records of the revisiting patients. Paper records carry this inherent disadvantage of storage issues. Also, in paper records, we don't have the opportunity to integrate systems like drug dosage calculator, clinical decision support system, and also in paper-based records, we can't get alerts if we accidentally prescribe the test which was done previously before the required duration. For example, HbA1c need not be redone if it is done in the last 3 months. We have come up with a solution which we feel can fix the situation with most of the requirements covered. IT components. We came up with a system which can actually draw information from the scanned pictures and crop them at the predetermined positions, and then by a 2-step process of importing to an Excel sheet and then translating that to EHR, we get those details from the paper-based health records converted into the EHR. This is pictorially depicted over here in the right side of the slide. We have these paper-based health records which are handwritten, and we expect them to be like cropping from this predetermined position for the name slot, and it should be imported into this in the EHR, like this designated slot of name in the EHR. To simplify the process, we have also suggested the use of tablets, which are more handy, simplifies workflow, easy to access, and has several functions like camera, which technically replaces a fully functional scanner, simplifies the entry of any clinical relevant picture into the set software. The social and behavioral component of our solution is that with the uses of tablets and also patient appointment scheduler and communication with the uses of tablets, apps like Translate can be reached, which break down the language barrier between physicians and patients, since it is a Spanish-speaking population and not all the physicians need to be can be speaking Spanish. They can use web browsers if they need to provide any patient educational material from online. And the patient appointment scheduler and communication between the patient and the physician can be made simplified through the implementation of EHR. With all these, we believe we are strengthening the relation between patient and physician. We would ensure that physicians regarding the security of the software and encourage them to adapt to this system. Coming to the health and clinical care component of our solution, this includes the inherent EHR always includes the inherent advantage of having a clinical decision support systems, timely diagnostic results update, along with the automated alerts of patient drug allergies and suggestions regarding the prescription dosage in real time. I would request Nisi to carry on from here.
Thank you. We'll provide features that will aid the clinic's workflow efficiency and effectiveness. The main functions of this solution being to convert information from paper documents into valuable electronic data in the EHR, and then to enable the usage of handheld devices such as tablets or mobile devices. The information and resources that would be required for this solution to work would be things such as the clinic's paper charts, the Athena EHR system, the splicing software, user efficiency tests, and mobile devices. The total number of users who confirm that they see an increase in workflow efficiency versus those who saw no change or a decrease in the workflow efficiency would be matrix used for this implementation to be successful. Please also refer to the example in the appendix for sample interview questions that could be asked for feedback and evaluation. For our methodology, we will be using the solution profile testing design with a mixed method. Based on the analysis done from analyzing the users, we will be able to see if the solution is working by using structured interviews and surveys tailored to the user's experience with the new transition to all of the electronic processes. This solution is a method of scanning the paper records, extracting the data from the scanned copies, and embedding the data into the system provided. And during our research, we looked for technologies already available to assist in completing the task in the most efficient way. The best option for the Heart and Soul Free Clinic would be to use the data extraction from unlimited PDF forms to an Excel table that converts into the EHR. For our solution to work on the principle of implementing data from paper-based records into their corresponding fields inside the Athena system. For example, the name column in a scanned copy of the paper records would be extracted and imported into the Athena software. This would allow for Athena to be accessed from a cloud server and would also be accessible via the tablets or mobile devices, making it easier for first-time users and also to reduce the possibility of resistance against using all of these tools and resources. It is necessary to be sufficient by testing a portion of the methodology so that we can ensure that the effectiveness of the solution is working by having the users answer those questions as seen in the appendix about their experience with operating the software and any additional resources that they might need. We would be able to examine how the EHR system itself, the tablets, and the data splicing truly impacts the internal dynamic of the organization as well. And with one of the goals of this method being to evaluate how the staff's daily dynamic was changed and what the results were of that new learning experience will be helpful. It's beneficial as well during this approach to assess if the users are gaining any assistance with their decision-making process, as well as communication after the charts are all digitized, especially when many of the patients visiting the clinic speak Spanish. Communication resources will be essential and can be highlighted using those tablets or mobile devices. This solution will be able to provide information to the users by electronically maintaining health records in one place and making them conveniently accessible. This allows the practitioner to keep focus on the patient and the appointment while still being productive on their back end. The user's feedback from this methodology would help drive quantitative and qualitative results that the clinic would need to gain a more comprehensive interpretation of the benefits that are being provided to them from this solution. The data can provide understanding of what the interoperability is projected to look like after everything is live. Essentially, this solution will allow the clinic to achieve data exchange and interpretation using the technology to assist them. So with them having an objective to make the data useful, this would be very beneficial. We will also plan to run an educational trial to help the practitioners understand the changes in workflow and how to use the system. Next slide, please. Here, you will be able to see a timeline for the particular milestones and steps listed. We plan to fully implement these changes after the new year so that it gives the clinic time to start preparing for the transition after all of the holiday seasons. Once they have all of the essential equipment and necessary items to begin the process, we will integrate all of the appropriate softwares and hardware to make sure everything is operational together. And then after we've established an acceptable level of accuracy, there will need to be a few trials conducted on the software after the go live and for the user's background. Next slide, please. In conclusion, despite all of the limits that the free clinic may have, they should be able to see improvements in their workflow procedures and be able to get more useful resources by following the appropriate steps and adapting to our plan of implementation. We anticipate that the organization will perform better and be able to reach out to a higher number of members in their community. And we are confident that the organization will reach those new heights, maintain their goals and their efforts that will make us proud. At this time, thank you so much for listening to our presentation. And if you have any additional questions or concerns, please feel free to use the contact information at the end of this presentation. Thank you.
Yes, that brings us to the end of the presentations and end of the capstone. Does anyone else want to say something about the capstones? Any of the faculty members here or any other students?
Looking at the difference between the PowerPoint presentation and the presentation, I prefer to go back to the first presentation and no longer to the PowerPoint presentation and no longer the poster presentation for the students, because it seems that they feel more fluent in explaining what they did than just standing in front of the poster and go over the poster. And they feel they are reduced in what they can say and not say, even if they have both cut down 15 minutes. So we were pushed by the administration to go to posters.
So part of the reason the practicum students use PowerPoints is, with the exception of 2 of the practicums, there was no real research project done. And their presentations followed the requirements of the practical course of what they would accomplish. So that was the purpose behind that. This is the first time practicum students have done this. So what we need to determine is what we actually want them to present as part of their practice.
And so I would like to hear from the students who did the poster what they think about it. They would actually first poster or the PowerPoint.
It's me who did poster, so I would prefer presentation over poster because it was so small for me to fit in all the information. And yeah, having presentation would have been more better.
Having a PowerPoint.
Yeah, PowerPoint presentation.
The problem that I see, if we have 50 students do this, is going to be practically impossible to do as a PowerPoint presentation. Now that we still have 10 this semester, I think we could do it. I assume we will in a year or two. It might not be feasible anymore. And so having posters where people can go around and listen to the more interesting ones that they seem interested at might be why we might be forced to do posters. Presentations are probably more suitable for the audience as well as the showcase of the hard work for the students.
Would we do just posters and not try to do an online session?
We could do that. That was and Matthew Pollock would love that. No online sessions, only a group of posters and go from one poster to the other. Like a poster presentation in the big meeting. That would be Pollock's preference. So we have these posters from native showcase.
And then are we tied to this format, or could we go to a different poster format that gave students a little bit more flexibility on what they presented?
We can.
Solid guidelines, like how to get the poster printed because it was tough. Little information would help.
I just wanted to use my first time. I just want to say how much of I was impressed with the knowledge and of the students, and you talked about different data structure or software platforms, and combined with hands-on experience dealing with data and kind of seeing new data was really nice. It's really nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we've only benefited by having practical work that everyone's doing. So I think I enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for presenting.
Yeah, one thing I can add, I don't know if I came in this, getting a sense of what was being discussed. I think poster presentation will also give us as participant, to look at other projects like what I did, like around downstairs, without missing anything what's happening in one particular.
Yeah.
So other people, if they want to go to the room, they can only see one poster and there were more than one poster.
So why can't we, this will be additional work for the students actually, but why can't we have them record 5 or 10 minutes video? And when we have these in-person poster events, we can have them stand by their posters and interact with the audience. But if somebody can't be here or something.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea, and we should do that
yeah, like the last group, I guess.
I was thinking of one thing, so I don't know if you decide to do it in person or over Zoom, but in our case, since we have a lot of screen in this room, we can make a lot of different rooms and assign individuals different rooms. They can share their screen in different rooms. And then they can have their own posters shown on different panels.
I have seen at the Texas University, they do a Zoom, a poster presentation walk through Canvas, and it's beautiful.
Right.
Every student has their poster and it stops for 5 minutes in front of their poster, and you can kind of like a rotating panel in Canvas where students do their poster. And you can go back and forth. And
that's beautiful, yeah.
That's assuming that we can get this room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even then it's going to be limited by the number of screens.
Yeah.
Right?
Usually it's in front of the lift area. I remember I attended one, so it was outside. It was not here. I was assuming the same, but it was.
Also, the CCDB retreat, they did this platform where you can go to different places. Remember where they had this platform where they had different tables and you can walk up to table and talk about their paper. It would be a good way to do this too.
Chat, there's a couple of platforms.
Yeah, yeah.
And also you get their volume.
Exactly.
Let's see, this must change, right?
Yes.
Before the pandemic.
Okay, any comments from the students on anything we should change? Okay, if not, then thank you everyone. Good luck for your future, and many of you are graduating. So I hope you stay in touch after you graduate, and good luck for your careers and do well. Thank you so much for your presentation. We all had a good time.